Previously on Libel the Bible.
We dream of a world with a softer, gentler version of me.
We get hot candle wax all over Taylor Swift.
I express my views on anti-Semitism.
I ponder if Moses acted alone in Egypt.
Piercings become all the rage among slaves.
Moses reminds everyone about sabbatical years and Passover.
Can we pass over Deuteronomy? It's very repetitive.
We're almost there.
And now, episode 50 of Libel the Bible. Fuck that, man. We're recording.
Like right now we're recording?
Like this second, like it's on,
Like
baby.
this is being recorded.
Like Donkey Kong.
I'm Scott.
I'm Rusty.
This is Libel the Bible, the frustrated edition.
I mean, it's only because every week, like, when I come over here, I've just come from, like, a very aggravating drive. It's an aggravating drive. At this time, at 6:30 at night, you know, in New York City, to get from central Queens to where you are, it's tough, okay? And not only is it rush hour, especially at this time of year, like it's getting dark, and people like don't know how to drive in general, and there's a lot of cars on the road. And tonight, on top of that, it was rainy.
Oh, forget
you know what I
about it.
mean?
Surprised you're even here.
So when I get here, like 10 minutes, 15 minutes of just like bullshitting and unwinding while we unpack, that's reasonable. But I feel like lately, every time I show up, we spend. Today wasn't as bad. Today, it didn't take as long, but it nevertheless like frustrated me to no ends. We spend all of this time fiddling around with equipment. You know, it's nonsense. I'm so tired of it. I just want to record a show, but we can't just record a show because we rely on equipment. And look, if we're two non-binary dudes who just want to record some bullshit sci-fi or comic book show and don't give a fuck what it sounds like, you know, that's one thing. But we care, right, about the sound quality of our product.
I was like, oh, you're actually referring to two people you might know?
So, again, I mean, yes.
Yeah. Listen, man, I'm in agreement, man. The hard part of this show should be delivering the show. That's where our talents need to come out. That's where our energies need to be focused.
Right. Like, I feel exhausted right now.
Yeah,
Like, I'm mentally not, like, in a space
and
where I would have wanted to be.
And you know what sucks? If we decide, you know what? We're not in the mood to do this now, and we decide not to do it now, and you come back, like, say, tomorrow, we're going to have the same fucking problems for the first 45 minutes.
Oh, 100%.
So it's not like we can just, like, leave it set up and walk away, like, gingerly.
Right.
Scooby-Doo style. Yeah, man, it's frustrating. So, you know, all those people that are out there, like, not giving suggestions, if you have suggestions, if you have any podcasting experience, please let us know. We have literally used a Linux computer, a Windows computer, and a Mac now, and it's all the same problems.
Well, really, the problem lately has been the fact that our pitch is off. So we sound ridiculous. We sound like sped up.
Yeah.
We sound like we're
helium,
sped up.
Little helium.
Or helium voiced. Yes, we sound helium voiced, which is, I mean, we can fix it in post-production, I guess.
I can't, apparently.
Yeah, Scott can't. So go listen to episode 49, the previously on, and then just the show in general sounds like shit. I'll probably go ahead and fix it.
Yeah. I'm kind of hoping you will.
Yeah.
I'm kind of hoping if I screw it up enough times, like, you'll just do it.
I mean, we're getting into that pattern now where it's like every week it's something.
Yeah.
So, so this is episode 50, Scott. We're at 50.
See, I was going to say, yay, 50. But I'm thinking, you know what? Because of the quirks of our calendar, it's 52 weeks. Like, that should be the celebration. It'd be weird to celebrate 50 as a milestone and then have to celebrate 52 as a milestone.
Right,
because
we are weekly. Yeah. However, the first week we released 3 together. So that sort of like screws up like the timeline.
Oh, do you know what day we recorded the first episode?
No, but it's around like this time.
It is around this time.
It is around this time.
Because I think I kind of skidded after the first 3 episodes. I like skidded into dry January, into February. I think,
We posted like January 18th or something like that.
Well, that I can check, but we don't need to check now. But Yeah, should we have a 1-year anniversary soon?
So we're approaching like a year. This is our 50th episode.
Wait, so do we celebrate the 50th episode, the 52nd episode, the year from when we actually started recording, and the year from our first release date? Because we're going to be partying hard the next month.
Scott's just looking for any reason to drink and party. I mean, listen, I'm down with that. I'm down with drinking and partying too.
Are you? Is it drinking you are into, or these amaze balls you leave laying around?
I hate drinking, by the way. I got to tell you, my dad
always
came
did.
over for Thanksgiving, and like, you know, he brought over wine. He brought over Chianti, which is really like strong and heavy, but I was like, whatever, let's have a glass. And I had a glass, and it's just like, I don't know why people drink, man.
Well, this is my impersonation of Rusty. Is the whole time I've known him after he has like 2 drinks. Feel bloated.
Bloated. It's funny because I thought you were gonna say, I'm pretty fucked up. Like, I thought that was gonna be your impression of me. Really?
No, you don't.
I don't announce that I'm fucked up.
Oh no, you definitely announce, but like you've gotten drunk before, but not as often as like you get stoned.
Yeah, I don't really get drunk.
Yeah, you get sick of you get sick of drinking before you get drunk.
Well, the problem is, yes, my stomach stops being able to hold the liquor or the alcohol. Like, I just run out of room in my belly. I can like drink shots.
Yeah. Do you know why you run out of room?
I had a lot of shots at my 40th. You know, like we were drinking not as many as Mike, right? Obviously not as many as Mike, but like I was drinking a lot.
I have never drank that much straight vodka in my life.
And that was like only the first hour. So like we had like 7 shots that first hour.
Yeah, I don't remember the second hour.
It's funny. Every single photo from that night, right? No matter who it is. So if it could be like you and your wife, or it could be me and my wife, or it could be my parents, right? No matter who's in the photo, Mike is in the background of every photo with a fucking drink in his hand, like a shot, not a drink, a shot.
Nice.
So for those listening, my 40th birthday, we held it at a Russian restaurant. And for those that don't understand, when you have a birthday celebration at a Russian restaurant, it's not like you're going to a regular restaurant. Like, you can go and eat at a Russian restaurant. You can get menus and just order. You be there for an hour and a half or 2 hours and leave. But when it's your birthday, what they have is, first of all, they have like a dance floor. They have like a stage where they have like entertainment and a band. So you're there like all night. So we showed up at like 8 or 9 o'clock at night. There's like the table is there. And basically you're like drinking and eating and dancing, and there's music. So it's like an all night thing. We didn't stay like the way typical Russians would until like 3, 4, 5 in the morning. We left like at 2:30. I don't know.
I was going to say, we were there pretty late,
We were there
though.
a decent amount, yes, but not like Russians can go all night. So for my 40th, we did something like that. We went to a Russian restaurant. Yeah, my friend turned into basically like a water fountain. Like, he just became a fountain of vomit. Like, he was projectile vomiting in his seat.
Hey, I caught it in that basin.
Scott and my other friend, yeah, they had to hold, like, we called it a vomitoon. They had to hold a vomitoon underneath my friend who was vomiting. Yeah, I felt bad for him too, because his wife had just given birth like a few months before, and it was like his first night out, and the next day she was going out and he had to take care of the kid.
No.
So with that hangover, he wound up like taking care of his kid that next morning.
I thought you were going to tell everybody that we carried him to his car and found the baby in a baby seat in the back.
Well, we definitely did carry him to the car. I'm shocked that he didn't vomit in the car, I have to say. Like, we drove him home. I was shocked that he didn't vomit. But anyway, yeah, so...
you should do that again for your 50th birthday, man.
I didn't really drink. So the reason... so my dad, when I had the glass of wine with him, he was talking about, like, he had just come back from the Dominican Republic, and he was there with my sister, and, like, there was a time where she was, like, drunk, but she was denying it. So that's why I told my dad, that's funny, because I'm the complete opposite. Whenever I get fucked up, I'm like, always like, that's like the first thing I announce. I'm like, oh, I am fucked up. You know why? It sort of absolves me of stupidity.
You're excused at that point.
Right. Because if you're denying being fucked up and you do some stupid shit, then it's like, what the fuck is wrong with this person, you know?
Yeah. Do you think your sister was drunk many, many years ago when she made the oven pizzas? And she forgot to take the wrapper off them.
Oh, my God.
You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, good times. Yes, we should do that for your 50th, man. But you know what you should do? You know you should invite? Some cocaine-addicted bear that you want to talk about.
Oh, my God. Did you read the article?
I did. It wasn't as exciting as I thought it was going to be.
Okay. First of all,
I didn't know there was a trailer for some movie or something.
did you see the trailer?
I didn't see the
So then
trailer.
you have no right to talk about anything.
Oh, I just
Bro.
read the real-life article.
No, so let me tell you something. So Amy is like, yo, you heard about Cocaine Bear? So I was like, what? No. She's like, there's going to be a movie called Cocaine Bear. It's going to be like Sharknado, but like a bear on cocaine.
Nice.
And she's like, and it's based on a true story. And I was like, what? So I didn't know what the hell was going on. All of a sudden, the next day, all I see on my Twitter feed is like Cocaine Bear shit. So I looked at the trailer. First of all, that shit's a real movie. What's her name is in it? The girl that played Felicity? You know, with the curly hair. She was in the Star Wars movies.
Yeah, she cut her hair off and then nobody liked her after
Yes.
that.
Carrie Russell.
Yeah.
She's in The Americans.
She's in the
You ever
Star
hear
Wars
of The
movies?
Americans?
With a K in it? The Americans?
I think so.
Yeah.
They play like Russian spies.
Yeah. I heard it. I never seen it.
It was I watched like the first like season and a half. And it was really good. But it was like one of those shows where you could tell like after a season and a half they have to keep upping the stakes to the point where like the stakes get so fucking ridiculous. Like I don't give a fuck anymore because it's just it's ridiculous.
Wow.
So she's in it. So it's like she's like a real actress, and some other people are in it that like I recognize. It's like a real movie. It seems like it's camp, like it's over the top camp, but based on a true story. Yo, you got to see the trailer if you guys haven't heard of this. It's called Cocaine Bear. It's based on a true story of like a bear found like some cocaine in the woods, like that was being like smuggled into the U.S. or whatever, and like sniffed out the cocaine and went on a fucking rampage. Like in real life.
No. In real life, I heard they found it dead, like from an overdose.
But it went on a rampage.
I didn't read that part.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And
Like,
then it
like
died
against people or just like
against like whoever
so-
it came in
or
contact
hallucinations?
with. So go check out what's it called again? Cocaine Bear. Yeah.
I heard what happened was some guy threw it out of an airplane and then parachuted out after it, like some drug dealer.
The cocaine?
Yeah.
Or the bear.
No, he threw the cocaine out, and then he jumped out afterwards, and they found him like dead, hanging from a tree or something. Like he didn't survive the parachute,
Yeah.
and the bear got the coke.
That's crazy. Is that what happened? Oh, I guess like that was the drop spot, and he was like parachuting after
I
it.
guess you missed it, man.
It's weird.
Probably all coked up. Jumped too soon. Got all paranoid.
What did he die from, man? If he was all coked up, he should
Oh,
be
but
dead.
I feel like you didn't finish the story about your father came back from DR, gave you a drink, and you wouldn't drink it or something.
No, I did drink it. I'm just saying, like, I don't like drinking. I don't like drinking.
Does he say, "You're no son of mine"?
No,
Yuri was the son I always wish I had.
he doesn't care. He's not like a big drinker.
Yeah.
So I did want to discuss this with you. So this came up in my Reddit today. Someone directed me to a thread that someone started, and it's titled, "What Little Things Turn You Off from a Podcast?"
Oh.
So it's like all these people giving like their answers, to like what turns them off. So obviously we're not going to read all of it, okay?
Why we're reading all of Deuteronomy?
Because
This shit sucks.
there are a lot of comments. So I'm only going to read to you the top level comment,
All
okay?
right.
So I'm not going to read the
I'm
responses.
sorry. How does Reddit work? People upvote? Is that the one that you upvote people or
Yes.
downvote them?
Yes.
Okay.
So I have it sorted by best right now. So it filters all of the best replies to the top. I could sort it by controversial. Controversial is a shit show.
That means more
So
replies.
controversial means it has like the same number of upvotes as like downvotes. So it's like, so that's like, there's certain subreddits where you want to sort by
Right.
controversial, Like if you're in the politics subreddit, sort that shit by controversial.
No, I think I want to hear the most upvoted ones because it
All
seems
right.
like a serious topic.
So best. Okay. So the question again is, what is the question? What little things turn you off from a podcast? So, best answer. Podcasts where the time is always running out and they always need to cut things short to not waste any time. And the end is always about the time that is over. This is a podcast. Why are they in such a rush? That's the number one.
Can I comment on it?
Of course.
So that goes back to the beginning when I was kind of very conscious of the time frame, and you were just like, "Fuck it, let it run its course. Whether it's a half hour or 2 hours, let it run its course." So,
well, it's very understandable because you consume a podcast. You consume one podcast.
that's all I ever did. Yeah.
Right. And you consume it on a weekly basis.
I did.
Sort of like someone used to watch TV shows like back in the day.
Right.
Like it would be on like Thursday at like 8:00. You have to be there. So, right. As someone who did consume podcasts, I knew that's typically not how people consume their podcasts,
I typically did during a commute, like to my office and back. So that was
so
pretty set
podcast.
time.
Sometimes you have to think of it like a book too, like a 3-hour podcast. It doesn't mean you're going to sit there and listen to it for 3 hours in one sitting, but that week during your morning or afternoon commute, you listen to the podcast all week. That's like. So the time for me wasn't like an issue, but I could see like why you would think it is, But I know you've definitely. But
plus, I like to know what I'm biting off all the time. To be honest with you, I like to manage my time. Like I know I want to fit this into this, and I don't want to remember where I left off.
Well, I think after 50 episodes, we found like what we think is reasonable, right? Like an hour and a half is like the max.
Yeah.
Like an hour 20 or so, give or take, is like pretty much the sweet spot, I think.
And I've been comfortable when we've cut it shorter because we just weren't, the material wasn't there or we just weren't there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm cool.
Like for us, like a short episode is a little over an hour. That's like a short episode.
Yeah.
A typical episode's around like an hour 20.
Yeah, I think that's our sweet spot, yeah.
Second most upvoted. Mm-hmm. When they don't do the research on their topic. Mile Higher is horrible about this. I don't know why I still even listen. It's so bad. I don't know what that show is.
Okay, Mile Higher better be about fucking in an airplane. Like, that's the only thing that podcast should be about.
Oh, you might be interested in this because he goes on. He explains what this is about. Oh. This is all about you, Bev. Oh. You would like this. When podcasts that aren't normally interview shows do a show that's just an interview, stuff they don't want you to know, I'm also sick of hearing about their book. Okay. Releasing live show recordings. Oh, no, that's not what I thought it was.
That made sense to me. I didn't know what that meant.
Yeah, that was stupid. But I think the Mile Higher thing, I think that might be like a plane crash like show. But I don't know.
Plane crash while having sex on a plane?
No, just a plane crash. You know how you watch that reality show? Air Disasters. So that might be like the podcast version of Air Disasters. Let's move on to the next one.
Wait. They also mentioned, I hate when they talk about their book. They better not be talking about Libel to Bible.
When podcasts that aren't normally interview shows do a show that's just an interview. So that doesn't apply to like us. So if we are not an interview show. No. So he's saying all of a sudden 1 week we do an interview. I don't see anything wrong with that, by the way.
I don't either, man. I just don't. I can't imagine who we'd interview.
I know who we could interview. Yeah. I know who. Not so much interview, but I would be into doing a podcast with a few other shows in our niche.
Oh, what do you mean? Like doing a podcast with another podcast?
No, in our niche of podcasts, like people, atheists who are making fun of the Bible or reading the Bible.
I still don't understand. What do you mean? You want to invite them over and get them on our podcast, or what are you saying? I don't know.
We would do a show together.
Oh, okay. All right.
It probably would not take place in the same room in person. Right. Like they would be where they are. We would be like in our studio.
We're not hooking up 4 fucking microphones, man. You can suck it.
No, of course. Sometimes I gotta say, Scott, it amazes me because
when you rewind this, I asked originally, what you want to get together with another podcast and do it together, and like you said no, and then you said yes to that. So I think it was I just don't think you listened to me.
When we grew up. You were the computer guy. Like you were like really like on top of technology.
None of this shit is my fault, motherfucker.
And then moving forward, but now you've completely I feel like you've lost track of
I plateaued.
The capabilities of modern technology.
I plateaued right around 2006.
I think you know what modern technology is capable of. But it's not in your workflow. So when it comes time to actually do something, I'm always shocked at how it doesn't come natural to you anymore.
It's weird that I'm in the industry cutting edge 5G.
It's weird.
Yeah. I'm like, Twitter what?
Yeah. Scott's like, I may as well send Scott like an actual like handwritten letter because I will get a response back quicker than a text message.
Yeah, well, that's a different issue. That's a time management issue.
All right. Next, if a host has drama kid energy, I'm out. You know what drama kid energy is?
No.
Like in school, drama club, like a performer.
Yeah. Wait. So if you did the podcast like you do the Libel to Bible, they would not be down with it?
So he's going to go on. He's going to explain it. The host of the Alexander Standard, that's in bold, by the way. So he's complaining about people like being dramatic, and he put this in bold. Okay.
Maybe it's a link.
It's not a link. Yeah. A link would be blue, and it's not a link. The host of the Alexander Standard, for example, reads quotes in a theatrical manner as if they are auditioning for voiceover work. I don't mind accents and a bit of silliness, but this guy was too much for me. Listen, you can't please everybody.
No, I get it.
You know what I'm saying? You can't please everybody.
Do you feel like he's hitting it at your Libel to Bible work?
I don't, but you know what I'm going to try to do? I'm going to try and guess what he sounds like by reading what he wrote, thinking about what he sounds like in real life.
The poster, not the Alexander.
The poster.
Okay.
If a host... What are you doing? Chill out. All right.
Sorry. Cut my mic. Mute my mic.
If a host has drama kid energy, I'm out. The host of the Alexander Standard, for example, reads quotes in a theatrical manner as if they are auditioning for voiceover work. I don't mind accents and a bit of silliness, but this guy was too much for me. Can you imagine hanging out with this guy? I would fucking dump his ass on the side of a highway.
Yeah, I don't think he talks like that, man.
All right. Next.
He's the opposite. He's like a total monotone.
Inside jokes that the audience isn't privy to.
Yeah, it's goofy.
And talking for an extended period of time about something other than the podcast subject.
Ooh.
I once downloaded a podcast for a 1.5 hour drive. It was a 1.5 hour podcast about a subject I was interested in. The first 15 minutes was fluff about their vacations. 45 minutes about a personal issue that had nothing to do with anything. And then 30 minutes on the stated subject, which they had to cut short because they ran out of time.
Ooh, a compound one.
It was a long, incredibly boring drive. And then the top comment to that is, an increasing number of podcasts do this. And sometimes I'm here for it. That said, I'd love to have timestamps in the show notes so we know when the real conversation starts.
Want to comment on that?
What do you think about that, Scott?
I think I was actually wanting to talk to you about that a little after listening to the last episode, because I think we got one chapter in, then we steamrolled through a second one. But the material kind of sucked.
So that's the thing too, right? Sometimes like the material of the Bible just isn't there. What are you going to do?
Well, I think first of all, if that was the first episode of that podcast that they downloaded and they went on for 45 minutes about their vacation, I don't think the podcasters have earned the respect and the trust of their audience to ramble on about their vacation. Me, if you're still listening to us, it's almost been a year, and you're going to listen to us about our fucking vacation at this point. So, yeah, I can see early on in the podcast, you can't do that, man. So I think we've grown into it. But I think we might have gone a little too far. I think maybe we should kind of pull it back a little more towards the Bible, because we're never going to get through this, man. But I saw you made a post today on some social media about someone saying they went to a daily podcast about the Bible because they couldn't get
we're not
through
doing
it.
that. Fucking
yeah, no, fuck that.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
And I was like, why finish?
Is
George R.R. Martin isn't going to finish.
Is that the married couple that does it?
Yes.
But they're very short. They're like 15, 20 minutes a piece, right? They're not like...
They literally read the Bible.
And then comment.
Yes, while they're reading it. But
right.
They don't do long form riffs like we do.
Right, that's what I'm saying. They're much shorter, and they live together. I assume, being married, so they could get away with. They could probably get away with doing it every day.
It seems like they're yes.
Instead of feeding the dog or taking a kid out for a walk.
Right. I don't even know if they have a kid, so like
I
that might
understand.
like help
Yeah.
too.
All right. Yeah, I don't think that would work for us doing it like a bite-sized podcast like that.
Honestly, I wouldn't have fun doing it like that. Like
Yeah.
where we're just like reading the Bible like we're in class and then just like commenting on it as we're reading it.
Sacrilegious discourse.
That's
I
the
just
name
shouted
of the
them out.
podcast.
I remember them for some reason.
Sacrilegious discourse.
Yes.
Correct.
No, and you know what? We shouldn't do that because they've covered that, man. That team's got that part of it. We got this part of it.
What's our part of it?
Long form. They're short form.
Right.
They're more reading of it. We're more of avoiding actually talking about the
They're
topic
more
project.
like right. They're more like they will read the Bible to you
Mhm.
and have little quips, whereas we don't read the Bible on air. We just like break it down and we go off on long form riffs. Well, I do.
Maybe we could team up with them and have like a Patreon level tier where, if we cover 3 chapters, we can merge their. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Just talking about bundling, like progressive.
So again, like that's a show that I would like do like a special with.
Gotcha.
We would do like a special with them, maybe like a couple of other people. All right, one more.
Wait. Let me just finish on. I had one more thought about this. I'm just thinking there may be people that are actually at this point still wanting to hear about the Bible, and sometimes I wonder if we cover enough Bible in each episode.
Yeah.
So
I got to be honest with you. Here's my thought.
finally, honesty.
I can only do what I like and what I think is fun and funny, right?
I know. Yeah.
In other words, when you start thinking about what will other people like, you will never get it right, because for every one person that tells you this is what I like, you're going to find 100 people that say, well, I like it like this.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? So you can only do what you like and hope that enough people that are like-minded will find the show, because there are enough people in the world that would find this show funny if they found it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you can only worry about, am I happy with this product?
That's a great way of looking at it, man. But I think corporate's only going to put up with that for so long, man. We're going to have to watch the spikes in the numbers and find out why they spike, when they spike, and completely cater to that.
Right. So, again, it's important to listen to feedback for sure, but at the end of the day, if you have to make yourself happy, and if you think you're coming out with like a good product, then like somebody else could be coming out with a good product for their customer base or fan base. All right. So the last one that I want to do is in response to like what do you hate about like podcasts the most, or like what makes a bad podcast, or whatever the fucking thing was. Crappy audio. Banter that has nothing to do with topic. I could go on. So he really, or they really stated two things, right? Crappy audio and banter that has nothing to do with the topic.
And I'm sorry, I really could go on. Well, why aren't you, dude? Who's stopping you? Are you pressed for time?
Okay.
Was he pressed for time? He had to cut it short?
Do you know who Reddit posters are?
I have no idea. I assume humans.
You know The Simpsons?
Yeah.
Imagine a bunch of grown-up Martins.
Martin.
The nerd.
Oh, well, isn't he like the nerd that's not all there?
No, he's all there.
Who's the one with the straight hair? That's kind of...
That's not Nelson. I forgot that kid's name. That's
Martin.
Ralph.
Who the hell is Martin?
My cat's breath smells like cat food.
Right, that one. That's not Martin?
No, that's Ralph.
Oh, okay.
Martin's just like the smart one. He's got the pocket protector. So, anyway,
Okay. Yeah.
they're all like nerds, and not even... I got to say, a lot of them are on the autism spectrum. So like feelings and emotions and like human interaction is not like in their wheelhouse. You know what I'm saying? So like they just come off like just brusque and like rude. You know what I mean? What's so funny?
Does this qualify as hate Reddit users? Like, it's not really hate, right?
Oh, this is known about Reddit users. Like, it is known. So, well, I'm sorry. It's not Reddit users, because Reddit has like, it's a ridiculous number of like visits a day. You know what I mean? It's like I think one of the top like 3 or 4 like sites.
It's the same 75 people
on the internet,
hundreds of times a day.
No, but if Reddit gets 25 million people a day on it, right? The top voted comment in that has 114 upvotes. You know what I mean? So that's like minuscule. So it's really the commenters and the people who are like upvoting them. You know what I mean? That's like who we're talking about. The loud vocal minority of Redditors. And again, Reddit is made up of really millions, literally millions of subreddits. I think millions, literally. I think. Because we can create a subreddit right now. We can create a Libel the Bible subreddit and like direct like our listeners into that subreddit.
We can.
Sure.
Do we want to do that?
I don't give a fuck.
We don't want to capture those people on the spectrum.
So I just thought that would be like something interesting to talk about, you know, what people really dislike about podcasts. What about you, Scott? What's your biggest gripe about podcasts?
Not listening to enough of them. Oh, you know what my biggest gripe is? I have to say it. It's got to be audio, because you've turned me on to like you've pointed me to podcasts that you said that either the context's awful or whatever, and I can't get past audio issues. Like that tin can shit, you know. That's why it drives me nuts that this equipment shouldn't be the problem anymore. I don't know enough about podcasts to be honest with you, man. I hate when I do put on a podcast that I think is going to be very interesting because they advertise the material as being something I'm interested in, and not so much that they're talking about their vacation. Is that they're not really saying anything very interesting about the material. They're talking about the material, but like there's nothing they're saying that interests me about the material. So.
Well, that's the thing at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
You could say, I like a podcast that I turn on and they're talking about the material, or I like a podcast where I turn it on and they're bantering in the beginning, or I like at the end of the day, it comes down to the personality that is coming into your head. You know what I mean? Like you are actively fucking allowing a voice or voices to enter your head and rattle around in there. You know what I mean? And so if they're not like being engaging, it doesn't matter.
I want to see mental health stats around the world, like when this podcast started, like a year in, 5 years in, and see like there's any spike in like people seeking mental health advice.
For me?
Well, just, because our voices are rattling around in their head.
I got to tell you, people who are listening to this show are already in need of like, mental help.
You know why they're in need of mental health help? Because they're surrounded by motherfuckers that ain't listening to podcasts like this. They're surrounded by all the fucking loonies out there. That's why. And
yes.
So,
yes.
It's not us, man.
No,
It's
absolutely.
everybody else.
No.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. Yahweh, Proud Boys.
You want to kill
Oath
everyone?
Killers.
Is that what you're saying?
Oath Killers. Oath.
You want to kill everyone?
No.
Like
I want
everyone.
I actually want to sit back and learn to deal with being able to deal with watching everybody kill each other. Like, I want to be that Michael Jackson gif with the popcorn where he's just watching shit go on. Yeah. Like, I want to sit up, I want to roll bleachers into where shit's going on and just sit there and let it unfold.
Man, that's fucked up.
Yeah. That's why, what am I going to do?
I just want to watch.
Yeah, I just want to watch.
All right, well,
listen, I'm not the one getting on elevators with people having sex, all right?
Speaking of watching, everybody is watching Moses ranting from, I don't know, is he like, where is he? Is he on the mountain?
I have a feeling.
He's like on a hill? Like
I have a feeling he's in a busy marketplace, like walking corner to corner, and people just avoiding making eye contact with him.
Is that what's going
he's
on?
He's just rambling like a crazy man. He's got no sandals on at this point.
Because he knows he can't enter the promised land.
Yeah.
Can't he just petition Yahweh and be like, "Yeah, man, I'm really sorry. I've learned my lesson.
I did the best I could do, man. It's not like I really volunteered for this job either.
Like, wouldn't you do that? Like, wouldn't you sort of like beg?
I hate to say it, yeah. At this point,
I mean, why not? What do you have to lose?
Yeah, your pride.
Unless he's just like, fuck it, man. I've done it all.
Maybe he doesn't want to be in this land with these stiff necks.
Where's his wife and kid? Remember the circumcised kid that the wife circumcised? Shit. And then wipe fucking Moses' foot with the fucking foreskin. And that's when God was like, ah!
She's with his cousin. Yeah. So it's Deuteronomy 17. So I read Deuteronomy 17. I'm like, damn, is this a fucking rehash? I swear like I've read this word for word. Mm-hmm. And then I realized we were going to do 17 last week and we didn't.
So you did read it word
I did. But I was actually wanting to flip back to the Bible and go, is this just, I want to find where I was rehashing it from. Mm-hmm. But it might as well be fucking, it's just retreaded shit anyway.
Yeah.
You want to get into it?
Sure.
So Deuteronomy 17 is actually a continuation of Deuteronomy 16, which was what do you call it? the Passover reviewed, which ended with forbidden forms of worship, is what 16 ended with, and 17 stays with forbidden forms of worship. And
it's weird the way they break up some of these chapters.
well, we mentioned in the beginning, Deuteronomy's a mess.
Yeah, like why would you start like this chapter and not just have this be the end of the last chapter?
Yeah, this is like when I upload shit the night before and forget to put the tags on it or the span, or the duration of the podcast. Yeah,
That's weird.
yeah, somebody got paid for this though. I don't know. What do you want to talk about in this?
I don't know. Let's talk about the rules for stoning people.
Yeah.
You want to talk about the rules? What are the rules for stoning
If
people,
there is
Scott?
found among you in one of your towns that the Lord your God is giving you, a man or woman who does what is evil in the sight of the Lord your God and transgresses his covenant by going to serve other gods and worshiping them, whether the sun or the moon or any of the host of heaven, which I have forbidden, and if it is reported to you or you hear of it, and you make a thorough inquiry, and the charge is proved true that such an abhorrent thing has occurred in Israel, this is one long sentence, man, then you shall bring out to your gates that man or that woman who has committed that crime, and you shall stone the man or woman to death.
Nice.
And we've definitely discussed this. This is not the first time we've mentioned this. This is definitely a recap. And I just, my only comment here is, I want to point out again the horrifying way of killing somebody that is stoning.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just remember, you're burying them up to their neck,
Mm-hmm.
and the whole town's taking turns throwing until their skull cracks open, and they're still alive. Their eyeballs hanging out of their head. They're twitching because they're having seizures. They're calling out for their mother, and like it's just fucking. It's a horrific way to appeal to the bloodlust of these stiffnecks. Stoning. So if you get involved with a stoning, you are a sick motherfucker.
What's the problem? He says right here, we can't do this just with one witness. We need at least like 2 witnesses. Right, so he does go on to say that. So
that sounds like a good thing.
Yeah, he's reasonable about the stonings.
But then he goes on to say,
by the way, and he says you can't just be like an accuser. If you're gonna accuse someone,
right,
you got to get your fucking hands dirty.
Not even accusing. If you just come forward as a witness,
right?
If you're the second and third witness,
if you're a witness,
you have to throw that first stone,
right?
So yeah, maybe I saw this dude do this shit, but I'm not in the mood to throw stones at someone's buried head. I'm sorry.
Right.
Makes me kind of not want to testify.
Right.
And I think I mentioned this before. This is like it's got to make rape accusations hard to convict. Because normally it's done under it's just a one-on-one crime.
Sure.
And if it's other people involved or people see it, I
don't think they're really there's a lot of rape trials going on back then. I think rape is pretty much like happening all the time, unpunished.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I just don't think it's not conducive to actually testifying against somebody because I don't need to be the executioner.
Right.
Just because I saw some guy do some fucked up shit, now I gotta kill him. I don't want to do that. That's not my nature. Bullshit. It's almost so people don't come forward. Yeah, moving on. Yeah, yep. Legal decisions by priests and judges. If a judicial decision is too difficult for you, blah, blah, blah,
so
take it up to the judge.
This is basically like getting information from a priest or getting a decision from a priest. Moses is making it sound like a meeting with Tony Soprano. All right? So he's like, so let's say you got a fucking beef with somebody. You don't know how to handle the situation. So according to Deuteronomy 17, verse 8, you shall immediately go up to the place that the Lord your God will choose, where you shall consult with the Levitical priests and the judge who is in office in those days. They shall announce to you the decision in the case. Carry out exactly the decision that they announce to you from the place that the Lord will choose.
So have a sit down.
Yeah, you're going to have a sit down with these guys.
In a place they know is not bugged.
They're going to fucking tell you what the situation is, and then you're going to fucking do it.
And he's very specific. Do not turn aside from the decision that they announced to you, either to the left or to the right.
Yeah.
I don't know, was that like a political ideology or it just means don't get off the road?
It's like stay on the path.
All right.
That term's been used already.
Yeah, you're right.
Left and right is from the Greek Senate. That's when left and right was born in the Greek Senate, the liberal like senator sat
Oh,
on the left.
what we consider left or right.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. And you must carry out the law they interpret for you. As for anyone who presumes to disobey the priest appointed to minister there to the Lord your God or the judge, that person shall die. So that's like, you got to have a sit down, and you better get the okay, or else you're the one that's going to get whacked.
Yeah.
It's basically like, yo, Rusty did some fucked up shit. They're like, okay, you got to cut his arms off. Whoa, I don't think it's that fucked up. Okay, now you're dead.
Well, it's kind of like
it makes
this.
me not want to testify.
So if you have like a sit down with like a higher up, right? Like a lot of times the higher ups, they don't know who the fuck you are, right? Yeah. So it's like, so you go on, you do your fucking petty things, you're getting like your parking meters, you're cracking them open, you're getting the quarters out, whatever, But then you're like, yo, I got a fucking Lufthansa fucking style scheme, but you want to have a sit down. And then you go and you talk to like the boss. And you're a fucking idiot, and they see that you're an idiot, and they're like, holy fuck, this guy's going to get, like, all of us fucking pinched. So it's just easier to fucking kill you. So you're taking, like, a risk, when you fucking have an idea.
Yeah, but I'm not going to these people for anything. Because I'm going to get killed if I don't do what they tell me to do? Nah.
All right, so you're not going to go and have a conversation with the Levites.
It's got to be a real big deal for me to bring it to you, because sometimes it's not worth it.
Yeah. Well, that gets us also to limitations of royal authority. So in addition to fucking getting rules from priests, Yahweh has told Moses how to instruct the Israelites about, like, someone to rule them.
Yeah. So, you may indeed set over you a king.
Well, hold on. You're going to read it? Because I've just got, like, some basic, like, the rules, and then you can read them if you want.
Knock yourself out. Go ahead.
All right. So the rules for the kings is quite simple, because Yahweh says, like, yo, you can have fucking kings. That's not really a problem.
Oh, wait, you're going to read the rules once they are king? So let me just read.
Yeah.
Let me read verse 15.
Go ahead.
You may indeed set over you a king. Okay, he's saying you can set over you a king. You can set a king.
Yeah, you can, right.
Whom the Lord your God will choose.
Right.
So wait a minute. Am I choosing the king? Or is Yahweh choosing the king?
Right.
So right there, I don't understand who's choosing the king. Right.
Well, here's what I have it. I have it written down as Yahweh must approve. Right? So that's how he chooses, right? Like, I don't think he's just going to be like, yo, let Shlomo be the king.
Gotcha.
I think, like, the elders or whoever, the Levites, will nominate Shlomo, and then, like,
the only hard and fast rule appears is you may not put a foreigner over you. All right, so basically you bring the candidates to Yahweh, and he says yes or no.
So Yahweh has to approve of a king. They can't be a foreigner, as you've just said. He can't have too many horses or want to go back to Egypt to buy horses. Yahweh's like, not even Yahweh. By the way, this plays into what you said last week about Moses, like, orchestrating the whole thing. There is no Yahweh. Because now Moses is like, yo, Yahweh says anyone can be king except if they got too many horses, we don't trust them because they might be doing business with the Egyptians. We ain't going back to Egypt. Like, there's like a fucking bounty on my head.
Also, he kind of mentions where he can't take the congregation back to Egypt. Like the king could decide, you know what?
Right.
Fuck Canaan. Let's go back to Egypt. That's a no-no.
All right.
And you're right.
So he can't have too many horses. He can't go to Egypt to buy horses. He can't have too many wives. He can't be too rich. Once in office, he must write out the laws in front of the Levites. So it sounds like he's looking for like more of a humble.
We'll be specific. When he says write out the laws, he means he's got to write out the laws stating that he will not have horses, he will not have wives, he will not have too much silver and gold.
I don't know. I kind of felt
like one of the versions I read, it was like, he shall write himself a copy of this law on a scroll in the presence of the Levitical priest. It's almost like taking an oath.
See, by this law, I thought he meant like this law that like Moses is laying on the people in Deuteronomy, the word, Deuteronomy, the word.
I thought these rules concerning the king, he might almost take an oath on that.
You might be right, but I feel like it's like busy work. Like he's just like, you could be the king, but It won't be official until you write out basically like all of Leviticus, all of fucking Deuteronomy.
Oh, wait, no. It shall remain with him, and he shall read it all the days of his life, so that he may learn to fear the Lord his God, diligently observing all the words of this law and these statutes. I took that as to mean these are specifically, he has to read that shit every day.
All right.
And that's how fucking corrupt people are in power. They have to tell themselves every day, okay, not too many horses, not too many wives, not too much gold, not too much silver.
Well, that's all bullshit. It's all for show. They don't need to tell themselves shit. They fucking take the oath, then it's forgotten, and they do whatever the fuck they want.
Oh, yeah, what about Hunter Biden?
It's not a real oath. What about Hunter Biden? Let me tell you something about Hunter Biden, man. Hunter Biden is a good barometer to see where someone stands. Like, to see if they're reasonable or if they're not reasonable. So, Deuteronomy 18. You want to move on to 18?
Yeah, sure.
Deuteronomy.
I kind of read that. That's the one he has to keep himself a copy of the law on a scroll.
What's that?
No, that's just where. No, Deuteronomy 18.
Yeah. Privileges of priests and Levites.
Yeah.
So
hold on, I switched pages, so now I gotta open up my content again on this fucking webpage.
No, you can hit. There's an arrow to go to the next page. What are you doing?
Yeah, I did, but then my notes on the side disappear. I have to open up the notes again.
Oh yeah. So there's like a thing. It says your content.
Like it.
So this
free service should be working exactly how I want it to work.
So in the privileges of priests and Levites, I feel like as I was reading it, I had the feeling that there's like perks that the Levites get that like we don't really like are privy to or know about.
Yep.
You know?
Are you gonna give it to them?
I don't know why I wrote that.
Well, the whole tribe of Levi shall have no allotment or inheritance with Israel. They may eat the offerings by fire that are the Lord's portion, but they shall have no inheritance among the other members of the community. The Lord is their inheritance. And I wrote, woo fucking who.
Yeah, so that's what I think it is. I think, so like they spend a lot of time in seclusion, away from like, you know, the citizens. And I think that's like where they're getting like their fucking party on, man.
Yeah, they're definitely, it's like almost like a secret society that's not so secret.
It's like eyes wide shut, man. That's what's going on.
Yeah, why not?
You don't think so?
Yeah, I think they'll do that.
Did you see the first season of that show with, oh my God, I can't believe I forgot it. It's about the women. They're all oppressed.
The Handmaid's Tale?
That's it. Did you see the first season
I never
of that?
saw any of it, no.
All right. This is what it's like. They had like, you know, all these pious people running shit like puritanical.
That's take place in modern times?
But then at night, you know, the men and women all meet at like the secret nightclub where they're having like orgies and like all of this shit. It took place in modern times, like now.
Okay.
Yes.
Like it's like some sort of dystopian version of like modern times.
Yeah, it's like if you know, like it's like if one of these like right-wing religious fucking nuts like builds like an army and then they like attack like the Capitol. And this is before like any of this happened, by the way.
Right.
Yeah.
Portent.
A portent.
So this should be the priest do from the people. He gets the ox, the sheep, the blah, 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 blah. And then can we jump down to verse 6?
Verse 6, yeah.
If a Levite leaves any of your towns from wherever he has been residing in Israel and comes to the place that the Lord will choose, and in parentheses, and he may come whenever he wants, then he may minister in the name of the Lord his God, like all this, blah, blah, blah. They shall have equal portion. Basically, they're saying they're allowed to roam throughout Israel. And wherever they go, they're like, glory defender, here, have our food. They always get taken care of. No matter where they go, they get taken care of.
I think it's almost like a litmus test for reverence to Yahweh. So it's like Yahweh is like, okay, I'm not going to be around all the time because I'm ready to split, you know what I mean? But this guy's in charge while I'm away. And when I come back, if this guy tells me you've been fucking around.
Yeah. They shall have equal portions to eat, even though they have income from the sale of family possessions. Which is a weird line that he just threw in there.
Why would they have possessions? They're Levites. Right.
I don't know.
All right. Well, that gets us to child sacrifice, divination, and magic prohibited.
Love this. Now, see, this is the good,
All right.
stuff.
So, I mean, basically, I don't know how good it is, but this is basically like Yahweh telling the Israelites, I know every once in a while you're going to want to burn your kids. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't
That's what those other fucks do.
Burn your fucking kids alive. Just don't.
And given enough time, I'll go burn some other person's kids in front of you. Don't worry about
I
it.
will figure out who will burn.
Yeah, so he says, no one shall be found among you who makes a son or daughter pass through fire. That's an interesting way of phrasing it. Or who practice divination, or is a soothsayer, or an augur, or a sorcerer, or who casts spells, or consults ghosts or spirits, or who seeks oracles from the dead. I want to rip this apart.
I got to tell you something. I kind of feel like he's probably missing like at least 3 or 4. Like a lawyer would find a loophole in this.
That's fine, but I understand practicing divination. F those people. But he's like a soothsayer.
What is practicing divination?
Divination is like those are those people that walk around with like a stick, like
don't
a
know.
divining rod.
I have no idea.
Like if you walk around and you want to look for water, this divining rod
Is
will
that
bend
what it is?
down, or it finds metal. It's some sorcery shit.
So Yahweh's opposed to divination.
Which is fine because I haven't seen any references to diviners in the Bible yet.
So divination, the practice of seeking knowledge of the future or the unknown by supernatural means. So it's, like Nostradamus.
Yeah, that's fine. Similar to a soothsayer in that with that explanation.
Okay.
So now soothsayer, I'm just going to say see prophet later on.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, a soothsayer is someone who also does the same thing. Predicts the future.
I'm looking it up right now.
Fire it up.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Someone who predicts the future, just like a diviner does.
That's right.
With different ways.
Absolutely.
Right? Okay. An augur, those are the people that predict by the birds. They foretell by the birds.
Yeah. Wait, there was someone like that earlier, wasn't there?
Yes.
Like the dream.
In
Didn't
Egypt.
Jacob have the dream?
I think it's in Egypt when Pharaoh wanted like his dreams interpreted and shit.
So it's a portend of a good or bad outcome. So it doesn't have to be a bird necessarily. So it's basically like
augurs specifically use birds, the migration patterns of birds to foretell the future. Like that's like their thing. Maybe they do it in other ways as well, but they're definitely known for watching the birds. Maybe that's where this is for the birds.
Okay, so this is probably talking about a person who looks for signs, not like a bird person.
Every time I've ever heard the word before, birds are specifically mentioned. I'm not saying they won't find signs in like a piece of toast.
So every time I've heard the word mentioned, which is like 10 times in the last 3 minutes, I've looked up 5 definitions, and not a single one of them says bird.
I don't know. AUGUR?
Yes.
All right.
To be a sign of especially good or bad things in the future. That's what an augur is.
I think it's not scrolling down.
It's a sign. So,
all right, so he's the same jerk that sees the Virgin Mary in a piece of toast, right?
All right, so I'm sorry. Let's start from the beginning as we learn vocabulary.
I am telling you, augur has something to do with birds, man.
Okay. So
you even said, didn't we hear about this before?
A soothsayer or an augur or a sorcerer. We know what a sorcerer is. That's like a magician.
Yeah, like someone who
like a conjurer.
Like someone who could part the Red Sea or some shit.
Right, or like
we don't want those motherfuckers
turn
around.
water into blood.
Yeah, we don't want that shit. Get water out of a fucking rock.
Okay. Or one who casts spells. It seems like a sorcerer. Isn't a sorcerer one who casts spells?
I guess. I'm sure it's like more of a
or
definition.
who consults ghosts or spirits, or who seeks oracles from the dead.
So I'm going to say this.
Go ahead.
And I mentioned her before, the Long Island medium, that chick.
Yeah.
From Long Island.
Yep.
Who talks to the dead.
Yep.
I better not see her with a fucking cross around her neck. Because I will get in her face and call her a blasphemous bitch. Because you don't talk to dead people and wear a fucking cross around your neck. All right? You with me?
No.
All right.
Why would I engage?
I don't know.
It's not that important.
Because if you believe she talks to the dead, you can't believe she's down with God.
Yeah.
Because it's obviously not allowed.
Okay.
So either talk to the dead or be down with Yahweh.
Yeah.
You can't do both.
I like that you're passionate about it.
I'm sick of hypocrisy.
Do you know this woman? Do you know where she lives?
Long Island.
Interesting. Long Island.
She's
Do you know
Long
where?
Island medium. I don't know. What? No, I don't know
Yeah,
where. I'm just
go
kidding.
pull
I'm
a
not
Clockwork Orange on that bitch.
with those crazy guys just stomp somebody out?
Yeah.
I wouldn't do that. But I am pointing out the hypocrisy. If you have a gold cross around your neck, read Deuteronomy.
Deuteronomy.
Yeah.
Hey,
Whatever.
you better fucking read Deuteronomy, you fucking assholes. All right.
Yeah.
A new prophet like Moses. This is interesting. I found this interesting. You know why I found this interesting?
Before you read that,
Go ahead.
because the very sentence before that, although these nations that you're about to dispossess do give heed to soothsayers and diviners, as for you, the Lord your God does not permit you to do so. And now go into your new prophet.
Okay. A new prophet. Moses, speaking to the people, says in Deuteronomy 18, verse 15, the Lord your God will raise up for you a prophet like me from among your own people. You shall heed such a prophet. This is what you requested of the Lord your God at Horeb on the day of the assembly when you said, let me not hear again the voice of the Lord my God or see this great fire anymore, lest I die. All right.
Yeah. You know what this is all about.
Yeah. So then it goes on, blah, 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 blah. And then, like, God is basically like, yo, man, you better listen to this fucking prophet that I'm going to send, or I will fuck you
Wait. Before that, after they say that, I cannot, again, hear the voice of the Lord or see this great fire anymore, lest I die. And the Lord was like, they are right in what they say. Basically, he's like, I'm out. He's again saying he's gone. You are never going to see me again. That's why he's sending a prophet to speak for him.
Well, here's the perfect part.
And I don't think we've seen him since then.
So here's the perfect part, right? This is a master plan.
Yep.
He's going to take off, right?
Oh, yeah.
But he's like, oh, there's going to be a prophet, though.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like anyone can claim to be the prophet at any time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like a way to keep it going. So who's going to be the next prophet? Well, maybe Jesus is the next prophet. And then there's going to be like Muhammad. So it's, you know what I mean? Who knows? Maybe there's going to be like David Koresh. And it's like a perfect fucking thing to use.
Mm-hmm.
We should become fucking prophets. Like, we should go down. Yo, man, we should use our knowledge of the fucking Bible for evil. Just like everyone else.
I was going to say, well, that doesn't really separate us
Just
from
like
anybody.
everyone else to make money. We can go down, and these fucking hucksters down there, man, we can preach like whatever bullshit.
Sure. Or we can speak the truth.
What?
Yeah.
No, there's no profit in that.
There's no profit in being a truthful prophet.
Nah, there's just like death that way.
It's
Your
true.
death.
Yeah, exactly. We're not going to survive long.
So basically, cray.
Listen to them or you're going to die. So, but any prophet who presumes to speak in my name a word that I have not commanded the prophet to speak, or who speaks in the name of other gods, that prophet shall die. Now, here comes the $1 million question.
Go ahead.
Justine. You may say to yourself, how can we recognize a word that the Lord has not spoken? And his response is, if a prophet speaks in the name of the Lord, but that thing does not take place or prove true, it is a word that the Lord has not spoken. The prophet has spoken it presumptuously. Do not be frightened by it. So basically he's saying, if someone claims to be a prophet and what they foretell as the future doesn't happen, he's a false prophet. But if it does come true, that makes him a soothsayer or a diviner, which he already said is not allowed. So what the fuck is he talking about? So if it doesn't come true, he's lying. If it does come true, put him to death because he's a fucking soothsayer. Man, this book has everybody's mind scrambled, buddy. Scrambled.
You're not understanding.
Yeah, of course I'm not understanding.
Of course, you're not.
Yeah.
You see, Yahweh will speak through this person. When Yahweh is speaking through this person, everyone will know that it's Yahweh speaking through that person. That's the only thing I can come up with. Because then later on, he's like what you just said, but like if you lie or like if, well, it's like, but wait a second. If Yahweh is using this person, why would that person like lie then? Like, isn't Yahweh in control of this person? But then I was like, well, Yahweh's probably not constantly in control. You know, it's like with Pharaoh. You know what I mean? Remember when he made his heart heavy?
Yeah.
So I'm sure, like, in 1 second, Pharaoh was like, fuck the fucking Israelites. I'm not letting them go, because Yahweh was controlling him, right? But probably, like, Yahweh went, like, away. He went to sleep. And, like, later that night, Pharaoh was probably like, damn, man, I should probably let the fucking Israelites go. You know what I mean? Like, this ain't worth, like, my whole kingdom. And then the next day when Yahweh woke up again, Yahweh hardened his heart. And Pharaoh was, you know what I'm saying? So maybe it's like one of those situations.
Maybe. I think this so far, to me, is the biggest contradiction bullshit so far in the Bible.
Really? Not creation? Not like the different accounts of creation of like man?
Well, I'm sure
like
there's a
where
way
in Genesis 1, man and woman are created on the same day. In Genesis 2, like he's created out of dirt.
No, I think Genesis 1 was like a broad overview, and Genesis this Redux was kind of like just getting into the minutia of it. I think it's the same story. We got to find a way to merge that.
But man was created on different days, man and woman.
Again with the days.
Again with the timeline.
Yeah. Show me a calendar, and we can't really talk about days.
Yeah.
So to me, this is like the biggest line of shit.
Yeah.
So when people go, what about what the Bible says? I'm just going to be, Deuteronomy 18. That's all I'm going to fucking say. And they go, what? I go, read it. Read it and come back to me. I know they won't ever come back because they ain't never going to read it.
Never. Why would they?
Why would they? We don't even know where to find the Bible.
We're barely reading.
All right. I think we're done with 18, man.
Yeah, man. We're going to move on to 19. Laws concerning the cities of refuse.
I like this. Refuge.
Whatever. Same shit.
Refuse? Isn't that like trash?
Well, yes, because you have murdered someone and are now escaping.
Oh,
you
so
are
sanctuary cities
refuge.
are just trash. That's what you're saying, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That is what I'm saying.
That is what you're saying. So what's up with these cities, man? We touched on them before. Again,
We talked about it. It's just more bullshit. It's like, look, you're going to set up like 3 cities, right? Like, I guess like equidistant. So like you don't got to like jet too far.
It's like a polling place.
So like, let's say Yahweh's like, let's say, for argument's sake, you're in the woods.
This is great. I'm going to read this.
Let's say the guy you're in the woods with, you want to read it?
I'm going to read it.
Go ahead.
It's so specific.
Go ahead.
Suppose someone goes into the forest with another to cut wood. And when one of them swings the axe to cut down a tree, the head slips from the handle and strikes the other person, who then dies. The killer may flee to one of these cities and live.
Oops.
And by the way, my brother happened to have the same exact thing happen to him.
This is very specific.
So do you think they were equidistant, but terribly far from like minority neighborhoods? Like they had to go real far to get to a sanctuary city?
That's fucked up.
I know, right? Ridiculous. But if the distance is too great, the avenger of blood in hot anger might pursue and overtake and put the killer to death, blah, 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 blah. You shall set apart 3 cities. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. Then he goes on to, if the territory that he originally gives you expands, you're going to add 3 more cities. Makes sense. Further apart, you need more cities. So I did a little math. Can I do a little math? Okay, so we're going to assume Canaan, the promised land, is modern-day Israel. Can we say that for assumption purposes? Okay. Modern-day Israel is approximately 8,522 square miles.
8,522. Okay.
It's pretty small. It's like the 149th largest country in the world, which makes it pretty small.
It's like a little slither of land.
Yeah, it's small.
Basically.
In comparison, the United States is 3.7 million square miles. So I did a little math here. So if you take the USA and divide it by Israel, you come out around to like 446 Israels fit inside the United States. So if every area of land the size of Israel has 3 cities, sanctuary cities, that means America should have 1,338 sanctuary cities if you just do it by square footage, square mileage.
What I would have done is I would have Googled Israel on top of East Coast.
Why?
And then it would have superimposed Israel like over the East Coast.
Yeah.
And then you can even see like all the cities that are like that would be in Israel.
Okay, that's
Know
fine.
what I mean?
That's fine, but why does my math not hold up? That we should have 1,388 sanctuary cities in America.
No, I mean, listen, it's
like people complain about San Francisco, Los Angeles,
Yeah.
New York, and that's pretty much all I really hear them complaining about. Like, imagine it with 1,388. Like, your fucking Bible says there should be. Come on, DeSantis.
Well, in
What
fairness,
the fuck, DeSantis? You'd have Disney World would be like the only non-sanctuary city in fucking Florida.
but my question to you is this: sanctuary cities
Aren't refuge cities?
for whom?
Killers, man.
For citizens, not for foreigners.
Oh, well played.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So DeSantis.
I see you high-fiving Ted Cruz right
So
right, thinking of all over your head.
DeSantis and Ted Cruz,
Nice. Nicely played. All right.
So I was listening to an Al Franken interview, and he was talking about how Ted Cruz is the most despised person in the Senate. And he was talking about a story when a few years ago, when one of the Carnival cruises, they had like a problem where like the toilets or whatever backed up, and like shit was like starting to
Down
get
the
like
hallways
filled
and
up or
shit.
whatever. And so he was like in the fucking Senate like chamber with Cruz, and he came up to Cruz and he was like, when some people think of shitty cruises, they think of Carnival, but I think of you.
Somebody said that to him in the Senate. Okay, I understand.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. I fucked up the line. The line was like, when some people think of cruises that are full of shit, they think of Carnival, but I think of you.
Oh, nice.
That's
nice.
what it was.
Is there no other Republican that can run in Arizona?
Texas.
I'm sorry, Texas, that can like take him out?
I don't know.
Like he's such a.
I guess not.
He's like a caricature. Like he looks goofy.
And no one likes him, by the way.
I can't find
no
anyone
one likes him. Even people that vote for him don't like him.
Yeah.
It's
that's
bizarre.
what I'm saying. Well, I understand that you're going to vote for Herschel Walker because Warnock's a Democrat.
It's crazy.
But like, you can't like find a better Republican.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy to me.
It's bizarre. That guy's a clown. He looks like a clown, acts like a clown. I can't take his beard seriously.
He must vote the way that his constituents want him to vote. Outside of his personality, he probably votes exactly the way they want him to, and that's that.
I guess. I guess honestly, that's really his job anyway.
He gets money for Texas.
Yeah,
all of these. Like, do you know? I read somewhere the Republican representation in the Senate. Right, the Republicans who are in Senate represent something like 25% of the United States population. Yeah. Because they all come from states with no one in it. Like all fucking Republicans come from except Texas, obviously, and like Florida. But then you've got like states where there's like people don't live there.
I saw an interesting map comparison in the United States where they painted each state red and blue for Democrat and Republican. And of course, it's overwhelmingly red, the country, when you go by landmass.
Sure.
But then I saw a comparison map where it says when you subtract the places where nobody lives,
yes,
and it's pretty fucking 50-50.
Yeah. So Mitch McConnell, who is the most powerful Republican, right? You know how many people voted for Mitch McConnell? Like 300,000 people. He won his Senate seat.
He's in Kentucky, right?
Getting like 300-something thousand votes. The person who loses a Senate seat in New York receives like over 10 million votes.
Right.
A person who loses.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like that's what we're talking about. I can understand back in the day when they wrote up the Constitution and they were like, well, we need Senate because the tyranny of the people and what about the large states? We can't or the small states. But the problem is it's gotten so the extremes have grown apart too much. It's one thing if there's 1,000 people in this city and there's 10,000 people in that city. Now we've got it's 1,000 people in this city and 8 million people in this city. Yeah. Big cities have gotten so far away from small cities. The founders could probably not have envisioned such a thing, or they would have been they're going to be reasonable. People in the future are going to be reasonable and adjust these rules just the way we fucking constantly wrote that we think that they should fucking do. But then we've got all these fucking people that are like, oh, the founding fathers.
Ross, man, the Second Amendment can't be changed. Yes, it can. It's called an amendment.
It's just so ridiculous.
No, listen. My biggest complaint is, I don't know what my biggest complaint is. I don't know. Let's get to the law concerning witnesses.
Go ahead,
no, property boundaries.
Yeah, go.
This one's short.
Yeah.
You must not move your neighbor's boundary marker set up by former generations on the property that will be allotted to you in the land of the Lord, blah, 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 blah. So this brings it. I said, I did a lot of construction work in Brooklyn. Lots and lots and lots. I was on a lot of Brooklyn construction sites.
Brooklyn.
And almost every single house that was being constructed in Brooklyn, the neighbors that weren't having their houses constructed, that were already there, were screaming at the contractors. Because basically what they do in New York, from what I understand, you're not allowed to get so close to a property line. Like when you're building a new structure, you can't build up to the property line. You have to give like a 2 foot, 3 foot, whatever it is. I don't know. Every zone is probably different. So I ended up being in this old couple's house, and they're like, "Come, look at our living room." They open their window, like the blinds, and there's a brick wall up against their window. So that entire side of their house is bricked over.
Yeah.
Like they have an old school, like 18th century house, like down in like Kensington area, like the old school neighborhoods. And they just built a fucking 7-story apartment building literally up against their wood house. And when I talk to people about that, they get politicians involved, blah, blah, blah. And from what I understand, they go, yeah, they encroach on boundaries all the time. And then they just go, well, we can't take the building down, so let's just adjust the property line. We'll pay a little more tax. So basically, these builders are basically taking over people's land and just, all right, we'll change the property line and we'll pay a little more taxes on it. And people building in New York are not listening to this part of the Bible.
New York is owned by builders. New York is owned by real estate people.
Sure,
they
want
to turn it over
constantly.
It's really disgusting what goes on in New York with real estate development and the perks they get and the contracts they get and how they can get away with anything they fucking want to get away with.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's really fucking disgusting.
I felt so bad for this old couple. They had to be like in their 80s.
Yeah.
And they're like, look, it's just a brick wall. It looks like something out of a movie. Like one of them horror movies. Like you go to jump out the window.
That's terrible. That's terrible. And I know exactly the kinds of houses that you're talking about because I grew up in Brooklyn, just south of Kensington. I grew up in between Midwood and Kensington. Like the neighborhood I grew up in didn't really have like a name. It was Foster Avenue between Coney Island and Ocean Parkway. Okay. So it was like just south of Kensington, like maybe a half a mile south of Kensington. And I know exactly the kinds of houses you're talking about.
For people that don't know, Kensington is a beautiful, beautiful section of Brooklyn. It's really old. It's really
really
nice.
It's like just south of Prospect Park.
Yeah, it's really nice. Not anymore. Not for those old fucks.
A lot of brick walls now.
Yeah. So then we get to law concerning witnesses. Same thing again. Just blah blah blah. But the last thing I want to talk about, the last line of this book is of this what is it, 19? Chapter 19 is show no pity, life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot. And my comment is somebody very famous once said, yeah, that leaves us all dead, blind, toothless, handless, and footless.
Who said that?
I don't know, maybe
some Star Trek nonsense.
Like maybe Martin Luther King.
Really?
Well, George Washington Carver.
Yeah, I guess. That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, listen, the laws aren't so evolved yet. You know what I mean? These are like proto-laws.
Right, those primordial laws.
Yeah.
All right, that's all I got for this, man.
Yeah. So, I mean, we covered Deuteronomy 17, 18, and 19, right?
Nice.
This is episode 50. I mean, listen, we didn't do anything special, It doesn't always have to be something special on a rounded episode, on a round number episode, right?
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, we had some fun. We had some whatever,
I think on listen back, you're gonna like this episode more than you've liked recent episodes.
You think so?
I think.
I'll tell you this. I mean, it started off shitty because I was a little out of it. You're a little out of it, but we worked our way into it. We did our thing. And, again, everything's not going to be a home run, but this was a solid single.
It's like Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig come to the park.
There you go. Spend 5 minutes on that. Go ahead. Explain everything.
Just go back to episode 9 or whatever.
So I guess this is the part where we're going to say goodbye. Wait. I haven't really attacked the audience today.
Let's leave it that way. Let's just see if you can do it.
All right. Adios.